The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to Microexcel's webcast about the SAP Cloud Platform. Just to introduce myself, my name is Abe Regas. I'm actually the global SAP practice leader at Microexcel. Been working on SAP technology 20 plus years, but out in the field working with our customers a good bit in implementing some of the new SAP solutions, inclusive of S/4HANA, S/4HANA Cloud, but also advising clients on their roadmaps and the leveraging of some of the new innovative technology, including the SAP Cloud Platform, which we'll be talking about today. So let's get into it. So one of the things that I just wanted to kind of lay the table on as far as kind of a foundation for our conversation today. Obviously a lot of organizations are looking to digitize their businesses and being able to compete whatever industry sectors that they operate in more effectively, right? To have more customer intimacy, have real-time supply chain networks, to provide new opportunities within their business frameworks to add value to their top line or the bottom line. And in particular, though, there's been a rapid shift in paradigm as far as looking at the advent of new technology that can actually contribute to that digitalization of their businesses. So as an example, IDC has done some studies in working with organizations and have queried organizations, and 75% of enterprises today are looking at artificial intelligence and machine learning as an important imperative to that digitalization strategy. Also looking at being able to harness the data that's coming from the machines that are out there operating in their field, operating in their plants, operating in the day in, day out operations, and harnessing that information to provide analytics and insight. So by 2019, most organizations look at APIs as the primary mechanism to connect to that machine data and to be able to provide platforms of learning analytics, and as well as real-time insight to a connected enterprise, right? And additionally, by 2019, natural language is going to be the standard of all modern BI platforms, meaning that it brings in insight and analytics into the day in, day out business transaction, right? With business vernacular associated to the actual facilitation of a business process, right? But to be able to accomplish all these things, you need some very powerful technology that not only bridges the gap between your back office operations and also these devices or these machines, or quite frankly, in a lot of respects, unstructured business data or non-business data, to be able to link the two together and make them, valuable assets and valuable IP to your organization. And the challenges of 4 or 5 years ago was to be able to harness that data was a mammoth effort, right? But in reality, it's something that needed to be resolved because the market is trending in this direction. So to be able to harness all that capability or be able to leverage machine learning, to be able to get connected to the Internet of Things, you use it for an ability to help you win further business as an organization, right? Whether, how I engage with my customers, with my business partners, right? To sense when there's trends, to sense when there's a shift in demand, to be able to sense, potential outcomes or derivatives of outcomes, with information. So that you can decide appropriately how to adjust your business strategy or how to, address a market in particular, right? So that's kind of the right side of this picture. How do I enable my organization to win, for lack of a better word? At the same time, how do I run it effectively? Meaning, how do I use the resources, right? The enterprise resources in a meaningful manner and in a streamlined manner, so that I can get to a point where I can be strategic and enable my win strategies, right? How do I steward the organization? How do I manage the particular line of businesses that make up my business imperative or my business strategy within my respective industry, right? Part of the left side here is very much of the tactical, the day in, day out functions, but very necessary, very foundational to run an effective organization, right? And if you can do the block and tackle very well, that allows you to have more bandwidth, more time, more energy to focus on the win side of the things. However, without an ability to harness, that business strategy, align it to a perspective of leveraging data, leveraging, things that are not necessarily encapsulated within the back office of your operations, to be able to allow you to engage, to sense, and to decide. That's where the challenge resides, right? But so it's all about setting that foundation. So that's where the SAP Cloud Platform, comes in, right? And you'll see here, in the middle, that it is the epicenter to bridge the gap between the run and the win, right? So when we talk about it from a technology perspective, the things that run your day in, day out operations typically are, both cloud and or on-premise applications. So if you're an SAP organization or SAP customer, obviously that means ERP, so S4HANA, right? Or it could be ERP in the cloud, like S4HANA Cloud. Or you could be deploying, different cloud applications, whether it's integrated business planning, the Ariba networks, Concur, or whatever cloud applications you can run. But they're not necessarily limited SAP applications. Most organizations that I work with, and our organization work with, have a heterogeneous, application environment. It's just, it's the norm, right? It's just, very infrequent that, an organization exclusively uses one platform across the board for all aspects of technologies. It's just not the reality, right? So to run and to standardize or run applications, right? You've been focusing your energy and your IT strategy to try to get to a point where that almost become a commoditized business process within the organization, where you've got well-defined governance, run and maintain standards, an ability to enhance and innovate off of those whenever there's business changes, that prompt some changes in your back operations, right? Those are the things that, quite frankly, over the last 20 to 30 years, organizations have heavily invested to, whether it's people, process, tools, or even in capital investments or in technology, right? Now, over the last 10 years, right, when we look at the right side, the things that are differentiating your organization, right, is you've always had assets that you leverage in your own organization, whether it's the machines that are on your shop floor, whether it's machines that are out in the field, whether if you're a service organization, or even the equipment that you may leverage on your customers' behalf, or that your customers are leveraging that are capturing a lot of data, right? So those things have existed for a good bit of time. But what Cloud Platform is looking to address is that bridge, kind of what we talked about before, right? How do we harness that mammoth data footprint of both structured and unstructured data that exists, that can allow you an opportunity to monetize, right? To differentiate, right? To engage further, right? And there's also things that already exist, like social networks and business networks that offer a tremendous opportunity, to further differentiate or engage with your potential customer base, right? If we think about a consumer product organization and they're looking to harness the sentiment and the feedback of their customers that, quite frankly, are leveraging social network as a mechanism to provide that feedback in real time to the greater masses, how can you leverage that information that could steer your organization in the right manner, meaning, the products that you produce and how you engage with your customers, and how do you leverage that intelligence as a way to provide decision support to your business leaders and your business operational teams to allow them to be agile and nimble, to be responsive, right? So SAP Cloud Platform is the platform as a service that provides that foundational capability to bridge the gap between both sides of the fence here. Now, if I'm looking at it very strictly from an SAP perspective, right, and a lot of you might be familiar with, some or if not all of these components because you're either evaluating them, you've deployed them, or you already leverage them, for business benefit, right? So again, when we look at the left side of this graphic, we're talking about the back office operations, right? Whether it's, the business suite, whether it's S/4HANA, whether it's, data warehouses, right? You install them on your on-prem, or you particularly leverage cloud applications like Hybris, FieldGlass, SuccessFactors to support very specific line of business imperatives within your organization, right? And you're standardizing your processes around there. And then there's seamless integration between those applications. However, when you get outside the four walls of your enterprise, you might have, as example, SAP Leonardo, which is obviously SAP's platform for not only big data but the Internet of Things and analytics and blockchain, and allows you as an opportunity to differentiate, right? These are all things that are becoming very real opportunities, very real paradigm shifts, and very real challenges in how to address, because either other organizations in your industry are leveraging for differentiating benefit and you need to compete, or you're looking to be an innovator yourself, a pioneer, and look at leveraging information as a way to differentiate in your own particular segment. As an example, I work with an industrial manufacturer, actually, quite frankly, building combines and tractors, and they wanted an opportunity to leverage the data coming out of that equipment that are at customer sites, right? To be able to sell aftermarket service contracts that are generally delivered by dealers, right? But these are things that, again, pose a challenge because it's a lot of data captured from, hundreds of thousands of devices that need to be normalized, needs to be evaluated, and provided from a business, context, so that organization then can arm their dealers with an ability to say, hey, that particular combine, that particular tractor is getting to a threshold of usage where, certain parts might start to be, to break down. So an opportunity to maybe, provide an aftermarket part, that gets installed, or maybe to sell an aftermarket service. Now, the reality is that their dealers don't have the platforms or don't have the applications to get to that decision point or get to that point of reflection to say there's an opportunity here, right? So they actually, before Leonardo even existed, were able to connect through the cloud platform, and we'll talk about about its incarnations here in a little bit. That data back into their backend operations and applications. In their example, leveraging Suite on HANA and the HANA database, and then be able to create some workflows that alerted their dealers, right? Presented with options on what to upsell to their customers, right? And the data and the evidence that would support, their ability to sell that service contract. Meaning, hey, you've got so many hours of usage on this tractor, and this part's typical threshold is at this point, and you're about 95% there. So we predict that there's probably going to be some sort of breakdown within the next 3 to 4 months, which is going to obviously impact you financially, right? So the cloud platform, in that sense, was really the enabler or the glue that allowed that process to happen. But again, this was a few years back. That was before the SAP Cloud Platform was even monitored as such. Back then, it was actually even just called a HANA platform. Again, we'll talk about what that means in a second. So the key use cases. So when you think about the cloud platform, when I talk to customers about the cloud platform, there's a lot of misconceptions out there or incomplete perspectives of what it actually does. Some customers, have a perspective that, well, it's the integration engine, connect SAP applications to non-SAP applications. Well, while that's technically correct, that's only a sliver of what it potentially can do. So it can integrate both your cloud and on-premise applications, right, to provide a more simple, secure, and quite frankly, agile and scalable platform to integrate multiple applications, both SAP and non-SAP alike, and both on-prem or cloud alike. Some other customers look at it as a way to extend existing applications, right? So for example, customers that are deploying S/4HANA Cloud, and for those that have deployed it, know that there's only a certain amount of extension that's innate within the application, and to be able to further extend, you do need a platform outside of it, to have what's called side-by-side extension. And the SAP Cloud Platform is the enabler to make that happen. So it allows you to quickly add new functionality to your existing and both cloud and on-prem apps, to continually invest. But it also allows you an ability to protect your existing investment because you've eliminated that need to customize within the application, which in turn has a snowball effect of increasing your total cost of ownership because upgrades and enhancements, turn out to be, bigger and bigger efforts the further and further you get away from the digital core. Additionally, there's a perspective of that, that it's meant to connect people, right? To provide user experiences at various touch points of applications to integrate business processes, right? And it does do that within, the SAP portfolio. As an example, when I want to be able to enhance the user experience around Fiore for S/4HANA Cloud, I have an ability to do that within Fiore, but I also can create some new Fiore extensions, leveraging the cloud platform in a very nimble, agile manner to further enable innovation, right? And again, in a very predictable, agile manner. And you're going to hear the term agile quite a bit because in reality, cloud platform, does have a theme in development, leveraging agile techniques and leveraging agile technology. And lastly, but not least, is in building new applications, right? So if you think about in the old ERP world, whether it's ECC or R3 or whatever you're comfortable with, or maybe even beyond SAP, we would use the embedded, built-in workbenches, development workbench. So for SAP customers, the ABAP workbench to create new applications, new transaction codes for those technical people out in the audience. But as we all know, that was basically then in new enhancements or new applications or new code that we would then have to take in consideration as far as us being able to upgrade that ERP application, right? With the SAP Cloud Platform, we have an ability to, basically remove that application out of your core applications, offload it from there, and build and run new applications in the cloud, leveraging consumable business services and APIs. And we'll delve down into greater detail here in a little bit. So we can solve new business problems, right? But again, not reinventing the wheels because there's a enormous library of business services that we can rapidly use to rapidly build these applications, and it gives us an opportunity to engage new channels to customers, new channels of revenue, new channels of business networks. So in reality, to quickly surmise, the intention of the SAP Cloud Platform and the mission statement for simple terms here is intelligent connecting people, things, and businesses, right? And if I draw a diagram here, is intelligent means about bringing in real-time data and real-time insight, right? Being able to bring in the data that comes from my machine, my assets, right? And offer a platform to learn from that data, right? Connecting in a secure and integrated and well-orchestrated manner, right? If I'm connecting two applications and I'm connecting two businesses, right? It's not just about moving data from point A to point B. It's about orchestrating a business process or a business workflow, right? Connecting people, right? At the end of the day, all of these things that we do is all meant for the business units to conduct day in, day out the business transactions and provide a level of insight they may never have had. But if it's delivered to them in a very complex, very rigid and very, let's say, overwhelming manner, then we haven't achieved the goal, right? So we will want to provide them, all this of information, all this empowerment of the business process in, inside the four walls of the enterprise or in and to the outside of the four walls of the organization, so that it can engage with customers in a more meaningful, real-time manner, whether it's out in the field, leveraging a mobile device, or being in my my desk, providing or serving as a customer representative, a salesperson, or a manager, right? And the things, right? The Internet of Things. It's kind of like some CIOs that I talked to, this Internet of Things is like a nebulous term. Well, in reality, it's about bringing structured views of chaos, chaotic environments, and the chaos being that could be thousands of things that you're trying to connect that exist outside of the enterprise, but you want to harness those things in a meaningful manner, in a structured manner, so that you can monetize and you can absolutely encapsulate that information and make it useful, relevant for the context of your own business, right? And then the business part of it is not only support what you do today, but creates an opportunity for new business models, new ecosystems. Organizations are starting to operate outside of their industries, right? Because they see opportunity to expand their market share in a very creative manner, right? And to be able to do that, you have to leverage APIs that have been developed outside of the SAP, organization for many, many years, and now can be consumed to connect, and microservices that basically provide business processes, containers that you can leverage. So holistically, the cloud platform provides you, and we touched upon almost all of these things, right? But just the review, you have an ability to provide analytics. You have an ability to provide runtime and data containers in a real-time in-memory platform, because SAP Cloud Platform absolutely uses the HANA database to empower the platform. It has an ability to engage with the user through mobile, through the internet, and it allows you to connect to data that again is part of your enterprise, and data that's out of your enterprise, and the processes and the unstructured and structured processes and data that exist, out there, whether it's in social networks or through other business networks. So let's delve down into a couple of key ones that I think are now starting to be commonly utilized or commonly evaluated. So we'll start off with the Fiore Cloud, right? So one of the big challenges that SAP has been addressing over the last several years is this investment into building a different user experience for all its applications, right? And that culminated into the SAP Fiore. Now, a lot of customers are quickly deploying packaged Fiore content for the Business Suite or for S/4HANA and S/4HANA Cloud, which actually has basically embedded Fiore. But now, as customers are adopting that technology, there's an ability to create new avenues of user experience. And what I mean by that is that now the customers are starting to see the power, the intuitiveness, and the simplicity of Fiore. It's actually it's promoted a lot of creative thought on how to further the user experience to different business processes, to enhancing business processes, to culminate to, like, say, if we capture additional data elements, or we want to personalize, the business process, even further, right? Now the cloud platform is the standard to not only deliver apps and content, but to provide an ability to enhance. So if I wanted to create a Fiore application that included S/4HANA business transactions and incorporated, let's say, other ERP transactions from, let's say, maybe a by design or Business One application, or maybe S/4HANA Cloud, and also bringing in planning data from an integrated business planning, and I want to create a new streamlined app for my organization, I can quickly develop that leveraging the cloud platform. And actually develop is probably too strong a term, because there's already logic that I can leverage to combine, business processes from those 3 or 4 applications and create a completely new application, and decouple the user experience from the business application layer to how it's stored in the platform or in the database, right? But the cloud platform is the orchestration of all these things, so that you can quickly deliver them, and you can make sure that The connectivity is secure. The user experience is rich, but it's controlled, that it's role-based, and in turn, it has a very well-defined business process logic and workflow so that it achieves the business outcome that you actually want to deliver. Now let's talk about extending cloud applications, right? So for most organizations, you've got probably some sort of cloud application in your portfolio, whether it's SAP or very SAP focused, right? For organizations that are leveraging SuccessFactors for their HR line of business, or whether they're leveraging Hybris for their omni-channel presence and customer engagement, even to managing the contingent labor. Now, the cloud application, so obviously for those that are very well versed in cloud applications, or for those that are not, the intention of cloud is to be able to, again, be able to quickly deliver, business functionality in a very agile, streamlined manner. But to be able to deliver that, cloud providers have to be able to have a bit tighter control on the software logistics process, right, and the continual improvement to it. So with quarter releases, in the SAP terms, right, there's constant innovation. But to be able to extend, right, now, SAP allows you to be able to extend applications so that you can, create, a new extension. So you can create applications that stand side by side with your cloud applications, right? So as an example, I've got one customer that is leveraging SAP SuccessFactors, but they built their own time application outside of the SuccessFactors application, leveraging the cloud platform, because they had very, very specific, requirements, and already kind of a very specific, idea of how they wanted to accomplish. So they didn't want to go down the path of looking at already commercial off-the-shelf, product or cloud application. So they developed the application leveraging the cloud platform. They will develop the front end, with a very similar look and feel to SuccessFactors, and we're able to, complete the loop on the processes, having a two-way integration with the SuccessFactors application leveraging OData services. So they were able to stand that up very quickly, and then secondarily, as they deployed new functionality and new releases in SuccessFactors, they were able to mitigate the risk of it impacting their time entry system that they developed. So those opportunities exist in all of SAP's cloud applications, inclusive, and probably now the one that's driving the most innovation, the S/4HANA cloud for ERP application that SAP is making a significant investment in. Customers are starting to really look at that as part of their ERP strategy. Now let's talk about the Internet of Things. Now, again, for those SAP customers, that are making large investments in IoT, you're making investments now into SAP Leonardo, which is obviously the suite of products that deal with big data, with machine to machine kind of connectivity, machine learning, and obviously being able to digest the Internet of Things services that exist, right? So the cloud platform is the enabler and the epicenter to enable the Leonardo suite, right? So through cloud integration, through being able to connect to your own IoT data, and here's the particular thing to notate with the cloud platform, because again, it's not exclusive to SAP. You can consume external big data applications, right? You can consume external IoT data, whether it's a Cassandra or a Swift, right? It can be SAP HANA. It could also be SAP applications, but it could be non-SAP applications, right? The key thing is that there is an orchestration of that data ingestion and pipeline that is consumed via the cloud platform, right? And there's now development kits and environments that allow you to manage that aspect of your business, right? Whether it's the data lifecycle management, whether it's the gateways for data pre-processing, right? The way that you consume, the protocols that you consume, right? It allows you to provide compute storage power for all of this information that you bring in or you externally deliver, and also allows you to create new apps and to mash up multiple applications, right? And the Cloud Platform is the way that it derives that. Now, SAP provides you with a Cloud Foundry environment as part of the Cloud Platform to be able to promote that end-to-end. So we'll talk about some flexibilities that you have around those things. But the key thing is that it really does become your epicenter of managing all of these things. And kind of, if you remember the point in the beginning, right? These opportunities existed 5 or 6 years ago, but there was a complete lack of platforms available to do it in a systemic, well orchestrated, in more agile manner. And the SAP Cloud Platform is meant to fill in that gap, in particular for SAP applications, but also not exclusive to SAP applications. Now, to be able to, leverage the SAP Cloud Platform as a mechanism to build completely new applications, right? Things that SAP has not developed and delivered, or other providers have not developed and delivered, right? So Cloud Platform is, part of that platform as a service is also development as a service from a technology perspective. So you have an ability to leverage it to develop complete end-to-end applications and microservices. Now, here's the thing that most customers don't necessarily realize, is that you can build those leveraging any development kit or build pack that you so choose, right? Well, I shouldn't say any, because SAP is quickly expanding the library. Right now, they support 17 libraries that include Java, Node.js, XSA, .NET, and of course SAP's ABAP development kits. But that's the key thing. So you can leverage your services from your HANA database or your HANA applications that you currently have today, but you could use external ones like the MongoDB services that you may leverage, right? So you can store data and you can leverage different messaging services, but use the Cloud Platform to connect to that application that you build. And you could use development kits that are outside of SAP. So SAP is now adopting more of an open source mentality, which rewind the clock 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that was unheard of in the SAP world. So what's quickly happening is that customers that are deploying the Cloud Platform are quickly realizing that, wait a minute, we have an ability to shorten the learning curve and to deliver things that actually contribute to our business imperative much more nimbly, much more effectively, and quite frankly, much more quickly, because we can leverage the acumen of the capabilities that we already have. If you think about it, most of your organizations, if you query, right, if you're coming from the SAP side of your IT department, and you maybe talk to your custom app development team that has been developing applications that maybe are e-commerce related or business-to-business related, and they've done it completely from scratch, that you're probably going to likely know that they already have Java capability, they have Node.js capability, Cold Fusion capability. You could now leverage that capability for the purposes of developing new SAP apps or non-SAP apps that you can connect to your back office applications, including SAP S/4HANA or the Business Suite, or quite frankly, any backend application. But again, in a secure manner, in a way that's predictable, in a way that you can control the lifecycle, but also be able to leverage a lot of components and a lot of open source build packs that have microservices that you can quickly, rapidly iterate off of to deliver in a very agile, again, accelerated manner, right? The time, the time to deliver, the build time frame for new applications now leveraging the Cloud Platform is tremendously accelerated versus what it was 5, and especially 10 years ago. So quite frankly, it didn't really exist in this manner. So again, I'll go back to kind of review. So we covered some of the key ones. As far as dealing with the machine learning Internet of Things, or in the development or the operations around supporting development and storage. But I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on the integration side. So for those SAP customers that are online that have invested significantly in integration, and even for the non-SAP, we've always known that integration of on-prem and cloud applications has always been, something of an important pillar. Actually, I shouldn't say it's a very important pillar of our IT strategy, but it's been always something of a challenge, to develop integration, to manage them, right, to deal with the regression testing and lifecycle management as you change one end of the integration, or the other, right, and to have to develop integrations from scratch, is time-consuming, intensive effort. But now, in particular with open source driving a lot of the innovation in the market space, there's much more APIs that are available that are part of industry standard. And what I mean by that is, there's been a drive in the ecosystem of different industries, but in the IT ecosystem, to have more widely adopted application programming interfaces that allow you to connect multiple applications through multiple organizations. And until the last few years, SAP wasn't necessarily completely empowered to consume those services. They had been driving a lot of innovation around that, but through the SAP Cloud Platform, we now have the mechanism to quickly consume APIs, to quickly build real-time integrations in again, much simpler, much accelerated manner, right? Because now we're not reinventing the wheel. So we can build and modify applications that extend beyond our on-premise or cloud applications that we have within our enterprise, connecting into external applications. We have an ability to empower users to create business knowledge independent of the application development, right? So if I wanted to connect, two applications that already have available APIs, me as a business user with a little bit of, a savvy, can start connecting applications because I understand data through the cloud platform. So I don't need to necessarily code, to develop those things. And I'm leveraging a rules engine, as a service that leverages those APIs, right? But again, it eliminates a lot of redundancy, a lot of data movement redundancy, a lot of data staging redundancy. It eliminates a lot of need to code from scratch. It eliminates, the need to, be completely reliant on a few very talented developers to create, integrations. Now, again, I'm able to leverage things that other people have already solved. That other organizations and other people, in my industry have already standardized around specific APIs, so I can communicate together. Maybe whether it's through EDIs or business networks around my supply chain, right? There's things that are consumable out in the world that now I can harness leveraging the cloud platform for, again, having a better connected organization. So when we think about cloud integration, right? I think the thing that you have to understand is that while the SAP Cloud Platform is a platform as a service, so it's out, it's hosted by SAP, it's leveraging the cloud platform, and provides that as a service to you. That doesn't mean that you're limited to integrating cloud applications. You can absolutely integrate, your back office operations if they're on premise to cloud applications that exist outside of your organization, and vice versa. You can connect business, right? If we think about the old EDI kind of standard that's been around for quite a bit of time, now I have an ability to very seamlessly, very quickly integrate with my business partners to complete the loop on processes, whether it's me providing inventory that they me as a consumer product organization need to provide to retailers, or as an organization that is looking to provide an ability for me to engage very quickly to my customers on different aspects, whether maybe it's financial related because we're trying to reconcile invoices that we supply to them very quickly, right? They bill us, it directly hits our system, and and we're able to manage the money movement between the two organizations in a very seamless, with reducing a lot of error, again, providing better intimacy between the two organizations. So now we have an ability to connect, to all these applications, to all, our customers and our business partners, and again, in a out of the box, manner, because there's a lot of integration content. Again, there's been significant investment within SAP, within SAP customers, within other IT organizations outside of SAP customers that have developed content that now can be consumable in a very real-time manner, right? So you have an ability to map, you have an ability to connect, and again, the thing to remember, it does not have to be exclusively cloud applications. It could be cloud applications to cloud applications. It could be cloud on-premise. It could be on-premise to cloud. It could be within your organization. It could be outside of your organization. So what we talked about the API side, right? So when we consume, the APIs that exist out there, as well as the APIs that are constantly being developed, right? We have an ability to design new APIs. We have an ability to develop them, manage them, monetize them, and leverage them as a way to engage them, right? So it allows us to, easy to connect, right? But again, there's today in the SAP world, there's 200 plus APIs that are available from SAP to help you in your endeavor to connect to external applications and external business partners, right? And in that library, you have an ability to enhance them. You have an ability to create new ones for your own purposes, right? And again, you can leverage, the external acumen around development, whether it's Java or Node.js, as an example, right? So that you can actually leverage the expertise that you might already have. But the key thing though is that this is a living, breathing element of your IT strategy, right? So APIs are no different in that the libraries constantly change. There's ones that are become commonly available in other applications. So for those that, for example, leverage Salesforce.com, their APIs that they deliver constantly change, right? So SAP's got an ability to already allow you to manage to change, with them, because quite a bit of customers, leverage Salesforce as their CRM front end tool and use SAP as the back end ERP application, right? So these are the things that you're going to be better able to manage, but you've got a tool that allows you to manage the whole life cycle of it, right? Again, from the design aspect of it all the way to the engaging aspect of it. So think of it, think of the API library or the business hub, as SAP calls it, right, as your accelerator for that digital transformation. Because now, again, I'm not limited to the integration to my applications that I have within my four walls of in my enterprise, right? But there's a catalog, right, that I quickly can review and pick and choose, my APIs that are being delivered by SAP or partners like ourselves, You have an ability to, in the cloud platform, quickly mock up and experience what the API would behave, if I'm able to deliver that to my business. And then there's integration packages that leverage APIs that you can consume. So integration content that you're able to leverage. So again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? And again, it's all about being able to leverage or consume this in a very streamlined manner. So again, for those developers that have been in the space for a good bit of time, we've had to develop everything from scratch, and again, a very intensive effort. But now with components, with prepackaged content, we have an ability again to couple together, leveraging different pre-built objects, and create my own integration, my own, APIs, and being able to connect my applications in a much more nimble, accelerated manner, right? So again, think of this as the accelerator for your digital transformation. So in summary, right? So I didn't touch on every aspect of the cloud platform, but probably the ones that are being most commonly used or being evaluated today. But the things to remember, right, is SAP's cloud platform, and it was actually named the HANA Cloud Platform. So some of you have heard it maybe as HCP before, or now are hearing the term SCP. But SAP the cloud platform is the standard term for SAP's platform as a service, right? It is a software as a service, a platform as a service that you're able to leverage, right? But it's more about openness. Again, when SAP built their initial applications, 20, 30, 40 years ago, it very much had its own proprietary development logic. For those traditionalists, that have been working in the SAP world like myself for a good bit of time. But now, it's adopted and really, continue to support an openness, an open source mentality, right? Open innovation, open standards, and openness that you can leverage your own databases. You don't necessarily exclusively have to use your HANA database for your data container side. You can also leverage different data centers for the cloud platform because SAP hosts it, but you can also support it in an Azure or AWS environment, right? But what it allows you to do is that it allows you to maintain the theme of, I need to be able to differentiate in my business, right? And to be able to do so, there's a lot of assets, whether it's data, whether it's devices, whether it's machines, whether it's social networks, whether it's business networks, that I can leverage by leveraging integrated services, integrated APIs, pre-built content, and pre-built object. That all is available in the cloud platform for, again, providing a platform of innovation and connectedness that is going to, further mature your organization in your digital journey or your digital roadmap, right? So I think there's been a lot of misconceptions. I know from the customers that I've talked to about, they've only kind of looked at it myopically to one of these pillars, right? Whether it's a simple development platform, it's a database as a service, or it's a way to extend, or it's a way to get insight and analytics. It's all of those things, right? So obviously there's powerful capability, and the thing that I would advise, all of you that are looking at the cloud platform is being that platform for your organization to truly understand it, right? To truly understand how you would leverage this technology for integration, how you would leverage it for the user experience, for how you would leverage it for analytics. Some customers, maybe are looking at other tools, like, on the integration side, you might be leveraging, if you're an SAP shop, via process orchestration or process integration as your integration tool, thinking that you have to use it for exclusively for your on-premise applications. But in reality, you have an ability to also leverage the SAP Cloud Platform. Again, it depends on how much you've invested and how much content you built upon yourself, right? But if you haven't built that content, you're looking for bringing that content, or quickly consume content that you don't want to build on yourself, then I would say look at the cloud platform and investigate it further, because I think it can actually absolutely accelerate you in that integration journey. And again, I'm just talking about the integration side there, but then multiply that across the board when you talk about user experience, when you're talking about developing new applications or extending an application, or in trying to delve into the whole Internet of Things, right? Into the big data paradigm and challenge, right? A lot of organizations are starting to invest into SAP Leonardo very purposely, right? But they're just starting to scratch the tip of the iceberg as far as the power of the capabilities of opportunities that you can create leveraging the cloud platform as a way to integrate Internet of Things with your backend applications, right? Things that already are being developed today, and brand new business models or application models that don't even exist today, but are quickly being invented, on the fly every day. So hopefully this content and this webcast is helped you into trying to demystify some of what the cloud platform is all about and how you can leverage it. If you have any further questions, obviously feel free to reach out to us. we work with customers day in day out today in adopting this technology in a pragmatic manner, in probably more of a roadmap sense, because there's not a lot of organizations that have gone all in on every aspect of the cloud platform, but they're starting to look to. So if you've got any further questions, or looking at looking at particular aspects of it and seeing how it can kind of complete your portfolio as you're going on your digital transformation journey, feel free to reach out to us at Microexcel. We thank you for your time, and look forward to your participation in future webcasts. Thank you so much.